Good evening. I'm Harry Kieling, and on behalf of Alaska Public Media and the Alaskan Aviation Safety Foundation, welcome to Hangar Flying. This evening our guest is Roger Motzko. Roger's been on our program before and has been a key presenter at a number of our recent safety seminars. But Roger's on this time for a very special reason. He's retiring from the U.S. Navy. For those of you who don't know Roger's background, let me touch on a few highlights, specifically his service to our country. He started out in the U.S. Air Force as a Vietnamese linguist, then found himself in the Navy and ultimately rose to the rank of Navy captain. One of the truly incredible, informative stories he had shared with me was when he was on a previous program, was the 3 years he spent in Bosnia. Roger, welcome back.
Thanks, Harry. I appreciate it.
And before we go any further, thank you for your outstanding service to our country.
Thank you for allowing me to serve.
Talk about the time in Bosnia.
Yeah, so it started out as an assignment to do principally landmine removal. And when I got there, you start looking at the things that a country needs. And working for the President of the United States and the U.S. Embassy for reconstruction of Bosnia, I said, how do we get this started? And my first concern, of course, was transportation and the airport. And how do we make the airport more airworthy? And how do we get transportation in and out and the transportation of goods? Because I believe that peace is sustained by transportation and commerce. And as I worked on that more, the President thought it was more important that I stay and complete that work. And eventually we developed the commercial aviation system in Bosnia. We developed the Bosnian Air Service, and then we developed offshore banks and made $5.2 million in the first year over air routes in order to self-fund the organization, rebuild the navigation aids, and rebuild airports.
So let me go back to what you said, because it's an indicator of truly outstanding service. You went over there for 1 year, and you spent 3 years, right?
Right.
Wow, that's above and beyond. Thank you for that. You were mentioning earlier when we were talking that the Bosnians were a lot like the Alaskans.
Bosnians are exactly like Alaskans. They live in a rural area of Central Europe. Transportation surface systems really aren't very good, rutted roads and hazardous mountains. And so they appreciate aviation, and they understand that aviation is the way to transport goods. And they happen to sit at that crossroads between Greater Europe and then the Middle East. And of course, on those transportation routes, it's very, very busy. And so the closure of that airspace closed off critical airspace for goods going between the continent of Africa and all the way up into Europe. And so getting that airspace back into civilian control and opening those airspace routes was critically important.
So I may not get this right, but you said something about somebody made a comment to you that, or you made a comment to them that you were from the U.S. and they said, no, you're an Alaskan.
Right. Yeah, my third year I was there with the United Nations and working for Air Vice Marshal Sir Rob Wright. And on the British staff there, we worked through an awful lot of the issues of setting up air regulations. And they once wondered why I used so many U.S. air regulations. And I said, well, that's what I'm familiar with. And they said, but you're not from the United States. You're from Alaska, aren't you? And of course, we think that way as well. We are Alaskans, and Alaskans above all else are aviators. And I think that the Bosnians appreciate that because everyone speaks aviator.
Now, Roger, you've got a very important job with the FAA, and you're going to stay on.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's just going to put your Navy uniform.
I'm going to put my Navy uniform in the closet and hat up on the shelf.
I think what I'd like to do is get you back on again and talk about what you said were the 5 ATC-related safety concerns.
Right. Each year, the FAA looks at 5 things that present what we feel are the highest risk to the aviation system. And this year we looked at, no surprise to any of us, weather, both the dissemination of weather and then pilots reporting weather, and so how we can do that better. We looked at surface memory aids, so runway incursions. How can we help controllers keep runways safer? how can we remind pilots how to report their positions on airports. We looked at positive control of VFR traffic, so people like you and I that fly, are we getting adequate vectoring when we're positioned around airports? And then we looked at, lastly, judgment. So things like, can controllers anticipate the difference between airspeeds, climbs, and descents of 737s versus that Super Cub, and then put all of that together in that critical spacing piece?
Well, let's do this because we have run out of time. I think you want to put together a special program that will illustrate those points. So I'll get you back on. Probably won't be next time, but probably in the next month or so. And I think our audience would really enjoy seeing that. In the meantime, again, thank you for your service to the country, and congratulations on your retirement.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed tonight's program. And until next time, fly safe.